Welcome to Breaking the Ice. We're Patel, Greene & Associates, and we're here to tell stories about our three favorite things: business, culture, and engineering. Let's get to it. Welcome back to PGA's podcast, Breaking the Ice. And in this month's installment, I have with me Trevor Hawkins of Patel, Greene & Associates. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. So before we get into our topic, I just wanted to give Trevor a chance to introduce himself, a little bit about his background and your role at PGA. So take it away.
All right. I've been at PGA now for 7 years. I've got about 20 years of experience. I'm the Tampa Roadway group leader now. We've got quite a few folks, not just in our Temple Terrace office, but also in our Carrollwood office as well. So trying to make sure we're balancing resources there, also making sure, people have things to do, but not too many things to do, and, balancing their lives with their families and also work and all those things as well. So it's a lot going on, not just on the project side, but also pursuit side as well. So
yeah. And you got to start at T.Y. Lin, I think, and
yes.
And you really came up through a very technical path until you started getting to project management, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, started project management maybe about, I want to say like 10 to 12 years ago, doing that, really to fulfill a need, because we had some folks transition out of that area. So they needed, folks to kind of help lead projects and finalize them and all that stuff. But yeah, started out not just being like a task lead or PM, but also being the EOR as well. So really knowing what's going on with that project intimately and being able to communicate it to the clients as well. And, you really took ownership of those projects and things like that. But
so you got your first shot, not so much on your merit or value, but out of desperation and limited choices.
Sure. Well, I would say that, there were other alternatives, but sure. I think, I think if people are given the opportunity, they tend to rise to the occasion.
Absolutely.
I think it's tough to. Most people are probably shy or not confident in saying, "Hey, I want to take on this role right now." Yeah. And I was still relatively young PE, and now I was eager to become a project manager. I was eager to be a EOR and things like that, and the opportunity just happened to present itself as well. So definitely was able to take advantage of, the situation, I guess, and, elevate into that role and try and do it to the best of my ability. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I think you probably identified it early on at that point in your career where some people really gravitate towards that role where you have control over the project. You're not intimidated by all the moving pieces and the people you have to work with. And of course, there's some engineers that are kind of intimidated by that, and they just want to really focus on their one thing. So you identified in yourself early on, like, that doesn't really intimidate you. Like, actually, you were probably eager to jump into that.
Yeah.
Because you're good with people.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. I think I enjoyed, the relationship part of it too, with the clients and getting to know folks. And I don't know, you want to do a good job for them and, continue to be successful on those projects and get things done. And I think I'll just say that there's a lot of times throughout the years, you see how to do it and mostly how not to do it.
Yeah.
And you just think, well, I want to bring something to the table that is, better than that, something that I can really maybe hopefully improve on and, and help other people be that way too. But I make mistakes from time to time.
Yeah. We've both been managing projects for a while now, and every job I do, I'm learning something I've been doing wrong the whole time and need to change. So it's always a learning process. So, you and I have worked on several projects together, and one thing, I know about you, and maybe is one of the things that, attracted you to join the PGA is kind of our approach to stuff, which is that Seller-Doer thing. I don't think we really knew that early on. We just did what made sense to us. But as we've grown and some folks have joined and then left, and you start to kind of figure out who you are, like as a company, not individuals, but you get enough individuals together that are similar, you have sort of a corporate identity, so to speak. And for us, that's the Seller-Doer.
Right.
We've really kind of embraced that as something we can all resonate with and identify with. We see the value of it. So that's really kind of our main topic today. We can get into whatever. We'll see what we talk about, but we'll start with Seller-Doer.
Yeah.
And start with maybe defining it. So how would you define a Seller-Doer?
Sure. Well, I kind of hit on a little bit. I think it's a Seller-Doer is somebody who establishes relationships with clients, number one. Number two, they build relationships with clients. They build a business and then also build the project. So I think those three things are kind of the key. And to your point, I mean, I've only really worked at maybe the more mid-size, smaller firms, and it, didn't seem like there was any other way to do it.
Right.
But I think having, through the years, learning more about it, it's like not every, firm operates that way.
Right.
But it does tend to seem like more people are moving towards that model because one, it's successful, and two, it just seems like the logical thing to do, right? Like we've always just done it because this makes sense, right? Not only does it make sense, it's probably the better model as well, and I think that's how we generally tend to operate, is using our good sense maybe to operate on that way. But those are, I mean, I guess in definition, yeah, that's kind of what I think Seller-Doer is somebody who can is always building, but those three key pillars.
Yeah, and I guess you can apply that Seller-Doer moniker to any sort of industry. But for us, we're engineers. And one thing I've noticed is when you run into someone that just, they seem to kind of be wanting to move past that part of their career. They're maybe not so interested in the doing, and they're more interested in the selling and the managing. It kind of, well, two things, I guess. One, we found it doesn't fit with us. Like it ends up just being a real disruption, and it's hard for that person to fit in, and typically it doesn't work out long term. But no matter how smart or talented they are, and then maybe they find somewhere where that company identity is a little bit different, they fit in better, and they're super successful. But what is often a little bit sad to me in those cases is I became an engineer because I really enjoy problem solving and being an engineer, and it would make me sad to never be able to do that. We're doing less than we used to, when we started out, and which is the natural way of things. But I still like to dig in there and help. At this point, for both of us, probably it's more someone helping us is struggling with something, and they come in, and for me, that's never a bother. That's like, okay, yeah, cool. Tell me what you're struggling with, and so I can understand and help you through it. And those are fun conversations, and you get to be an engineer, and you get to help them learn. And I think that's a big part of being that sort of Seller-Doer, because it's probably on my project, or at least I'm the engineer record, let's say, and they're helping me, and they're coming, and we're working at that stuff together.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you said that made me think about. I've worked with some folks who were great sellers, but mainly because they've done it in the past. Like they can talk intelligently about it. And for those who kind of want to skip maybe the technical side or whatever, or the doing side, I guess, I don't know how you would be able to sell without being able to, I guess, instill confidence in the client, or sell. How do you sell without instilling confidence in that what's happening, or how to do this thing?
Exactly.
So, and even now, to your point, it's like, well, sometimes you get a little bit further removed from the technical side, and those, I always feel bad when I can't answer like an engineering question without looking it up or whatever, but I know where to go, but mainly that overarching problem solving, like, hey, we have a thing on this project, we need a decision. It's not necessarily like, hey, is it 2 inches or is it 4 inches or is it this pay item or this? It's like, hey, we need to decide if we're going to go this direction for the project. And I think, doing more and more technical things help you decide those directions and things like that. And I think that's, as the project manager or whatever, you tend to get better at as time goes on. But yeah, I would say, skipping the doer side and going straight to the seller side, it's tough. I wouldn't want to do it. I don't think I could,
Right.
I'm
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah, I like spreadsheets as much as the next engineer, but I don't want to do them all day. I want to be an engineer.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about scale. We're at 160 something now. You talked about, you've worked at mid-sized firms. The only other firm I really worked for was definitely not a mid-sized firm, but I was pretty young and I'm sure didn't have a full grasp of the whole picture. What are your thoughts? I'm genuinely interested. We haven't really talked about this, so this will be interesting. And I'm going to come up with my own thoughts kind of on the fly because I wrote down the question. I don't really have an answer myself. So as we get to 300, 500, 1,000, how much can we scale that seller-doer model? Is there no end to it? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that, we talked about this briefly before, but I think it's something that has to become part of an identity for a company. That, well, first of all, I think everybody has to be a seller. You talk about this like, renew every day, right? We are being a seller. And I don't think, and then maybe we don't say it enough.
Yeah.
Or maybe we need to phrase it more that way to the people who are out there, being the technical, or whatever. And it's like, you're selling right now. So understand that you're helping me sell. You're helping bring in revenue to this project by the things that you're doing right now. So I think that's part of it.
I like that.
I think, obviously training, and making that, identity and culture kind of being part of that, letting people know, just clarification. Like people don't, and I think a lot of times people just don't know what their role is or what it is that's
expected of them.
Yeah. You're hired and, you're young EI and it's like, well, you're doing CAD, and that's all they, and it's like, they may have their own thoughts about what they want to do, but no expectation is given of them or whatever. So I think just kind of letting people know like expectation and maybe what the growth process is going to look like, especially for those who want to kind of grow more so in their career and things like that in that role of selling and doing. I think the other thing too is just working on getting younger staff in early. And I think, again, it's kind of going back to building relationships. So, and I think we could do this better. I could do this better. And it's tough because a lot of our meetings are virtual now. Right. But like, early on in my career, I had kind of a mentor, and we didn't call it that, but it was, my boss took me to every single meeting, and I got to know the client every time. And sometimes I didn't say anything. Sometimes I just took notes, but I saw what happened at those meetings. I understood the process. And then even early on in the proposal phase, it's like, hey, I'm writing this letter. I need you to write about the pavement design. I need you to write about safety, whatever.
A little piece
and I'm going to insert that into, like, this is your responsibility. It starts like that, and then it's like, hey, now I'm going to get you a little bit of plug. You're going to be the sixth person at the end of the table with a little spiel to say during the Q&A.
Yep.
Or you're going to create these 2 slides for the presentation. Again, early on, it was like I did everything. He was like, I made the board, I made, I did the graphics, I did the research, whatever. And so you get to know what it takes to do those things. You get better at it, but starting young, getting them to know exactly what it takes, and just get the feel so that, you're not, you've gotten to a certain point in your career and you're just like, I'm not comfortable with doing that.
Right.
I don't want to do that. That seems like a big switch now for me to do that. If you ease them into it, it's not as drastic of a shift.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, again, with the relationships, I would say like encouraging folks to go to like social events, conferences, networking things, whatever. And I know sometimes it's hard to put like value on that because those things do cost money. It costs time. Usually they're outside of work hours sometimes too.
It's a lot of energy for introverted engineers.
Well, that too. And I remember showing up to those things and not knowing anybody.
Yes.
And I would stand up against the wall, watching all the people who knew each other and being like, I want to be like that guy who knows everybody,
And now you are.
Well, but I mean, and that stuff takes time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't, it's not going to start right at the conference thing, but it's going to start at, trainings, being present.
Be a sub to somebody working on a project. Now you're friends.
Yeah, too. Yeah. But even like FES, ASHE, ASCE, little things, you get to know people. And again, it's tough. And that's usually why they have drinks involved. And that helps people get to know each other better. But, like those are, business is still done that way. It's like I went to a networking event not too long ago, and it was like, hey, glad I ran into you. Let's talk about teaming about something. Like you build those relationships, and you're more comfortable talking to them via Teams or email and say, hey, or calling them up and saying, hey, how's it going? Hey, what do you think about this job? You know what I mean? Whereas everything else ends up just being a cold call, and most people don't like that. So
no. So when we think about scaling, you're talking about making it part of our fabric, weaving it in, that seller-doer mentality, encouraging that next generation to come up through. And we're trying to get some things in place. And some notes because it's some good stuff for us to take back and work on, but working that into our career progression stuff that we're trying to do so that when someone does come in, they know at least here's a couple paths for me. I don't know what I really want to do yet. I'm just getting started, but because it is a lot of CAD when you start out, but if you see capabilities in someone, maybe they show some of that personality where it's like, okay, they're a little bit dynamic. I see them hanging around and talking to people. They might be good at this, and you give them that shot. And either you're right or you're wrong, but you don't know until you give them a shot. Better to find out then than when they're expected to do it and it turns out they hate it.
Right.
So there's two not distracting at all. There's it's dual purpose basically. You either expose them to that stuff early on so it's not such a shock, or you figure out, well, that's not for me. I'm going to sit over here. I'm going to be the best technical engineer I can be. And produce really great plans efficiently.
Another thing I would say to that too, as we grow, right now it's kind of on everybody to kind of make sure that they're helping their staff, And what we found probably is, because we're seller doers, we run out of time. You run out of that energy or availability. And I think having somebody, as we get bigger, dedicated to doing something like that, and maybe it's multiple roles, but I think that's really the best way to make sure it's intentionally done,
Yeah, good point. So we've talked a lot about the advantages of a seller-doer and why we do it, but, nothing's perfect. So there are some, I won't call it really disadvantages, but there's definitely challenges with a seller-doer model.
Sure.
Want to talk about those?
Well, yeah, sure. One of them is we need more of them. Right? Because it's easy to get spread thin, maybe, and just, spread thin, meaning, you're either selling a lot or you're doing projects a lot, and one tends to suffer. So maybe, the balance gets a little tough there. So yeah, I would say definitely need more people who are interested in doing it. And I think part of that is the training, kind of what we talked about. a little bit. So I guess finding ways to, and again, this kind of goes back to what we were saying about expectations and things like that. And it's, like, hey, I want you to spend 20%, I don't know, of your time a month doing business development, like pre-positioning. Hey, it's not about a specific project. Go talk to your clients or people that you've met with in the past and just see, how are we doing? What can we do better? Whatever. Or doing that with people you want to team with. Hey, we're looking to partner on something here soon. Let's go have a drink. Let's do lunch, whatever. I think, we get so caught up in the thing that's happening right now, which usually is the doing.
Day to day,
yeah. And what's on my calendar tomorrow? Meetings, and things like that. It's just tough to get the stuff done that we want to get done because we tend to get spread thin a little bit.
What do they call it? The tyranny of the urgent or something like that? Probably screwing that up.
I've never heard that, but
it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I like that.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Pretty sure I didn't just make that up.
If you did, it's appropriate.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah.
We live by that. Because we do all the meetings. Like we don't. It feels a lot like we're going day to day. Because in a lot of ways we are, but we have the meetings, the marketing meetings where hey, this thing's coming out in 3 or 4 months, and we ask ourselves the questions, what should we be doing? And we all say, well, I need to call so and so and so and so and do this and do that. And sometimes we do it, and sometimes we don't. Again, because of you leave that meeting and then you go back to your inbox or whatever, and off you go.
Yeah.
And then you forget to do the thing, or you just never quite make time for it. You think you're going to, and then before you know it, it's not time for the next monthly meeting.
Yeah.
Did we do all that? No.
I
did not call anybody.
Yeah.
So here we are. And it's advertising next week, and we'll give it our best shot.
Yeah.
Happens too often.
Yeah.
Well, so you talked about the selling and the doing, and the battle between those two things for our time. There's only so much time in the day, not to even discuss, which we can, but the rest of our lives, families and other things we have going on, that we're trying not to cheat too much into those times when work gets real busy. But part of the challenge of that is we don't often have control over those timelines either, especially when it comes to marketing stuff. Those dates are set and they're non-negotiable. And
right.
When a project submittal maybe moves in or out where we thought we had it sort of lined up, and all of a sudden
a hurricane hits.
Yeah, hurricane, whatever, and everything's on top of itself. You're just have to deal with it.
Yeah. Vacations. I think last summer that was something. I looked at all the things that were lined up and
looked good initially.
Oh man, and then it's I think we talked about this a little bit. The work-life sway. I think sometimes we talk about work-life balance. I think it's tricky because then you're saying, hey, you're advertising. There's always a balance, right? And I think in this industry, it's understood that there are moments when, it's not too bad. We have a project that's due in a month. We all know it's in a month, and I'm gonna
that feels okay and reasonable.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the best that I can this day, and then I'll pick it up tomorrow. It's a project,
right?
It's not clock in, clock out, whatever. But there are times where, hey, we have a thing and it's due now, or it's due in 2 weeks, and
it's some unreasonable thing.
Yeah, if you get shortlisted and all of a sudden you got to put together, a 45-minute presentation that's got 120 slides or whatever in 2 weeks, it's that's gonna take some time, and you want to make sure that you don't look like a dummy. Like that's my biggest motivation.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think my wife, and I think most people who work in this industry have seen that happen over time, and they understand that those are things that pop up. And but if it happened all the time, that would be a problem. But I don't think we've had that issue too much. I think we try to balance it as much as we can.
No more than anyone else. Hopefully less often than some other places. But I know one thing that I've been really proud of with our group, I know like you've been on both ends of it, is, well, Trevor's the best choice to manage this project because of his experience or his relationships, whatever it is. It's like a no-brainer, has to be Trevor. But the timing sucks. He's either, I think one of them, maybe you were on vacation or just like totally slammed. There was no way you could write the letter. And it was like, well, it's okay. You don't have to write the letter.
Right.
We can write the letter.
Right.
And you'll be like,
Yeah.
we have the ability, and
Yeah.
obviously the people that are like, no one's like, well, that's, why do I have to make time for that? That's Trevor. Like,
Right.
that never even crosses our mind. It's like, these are the dates it has to get done. We all know how to write letters. We can all dive into the project, and we've done it.
Well, yeah, and I think generally, I mean, that's been one of the best things about PGA, and just one of my selling points too is just the team aspect, where everybody chips in and understands that you've got a thing or whatever. Yeah. And now, might be my fault too. I tend to be a little bit probably controlling on those things because I'm like, I don't want it. It's not. I have to look at it.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm going to spend time on it. I can't not look at it before it goes out. And
when your name's on it, yeah.
Yeah. So in that situation, I still think I stayed up pretty late into the evening, and
sure.
whatever to make sure that have my blessing or whatever. Not that it needs my blessing, but I'm like, I want to feel like I know, and that's probably the doer part too, right?
Yeah.
Like where it's like I want to make sure that if it's got my name on it, I'm comfortable with it, and based on my experience and
right. And you're invested in the project, even if I can't remember the details of why you got waylaid, but you had been looking forward to the project. You were already kind of invested into it and already had some thoughts and ideas. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you want to look at that thing and make sure that we're hitting those points for you the way you wanted them hit, and whatever, we got it done.
Yeah.
And you've been on the other side of that, bailing other people out.
Sure.
That's why I think that works, is because nobody hesitates to jump in and help, because they know without hesitation, you would do the same for them, or probably already have. So they're just kind of returning the favor.
Right.
And that's something I've observed. I mean, from the very beginning at PGA, obviously Hiron and I did that for each other, but but even as we hired people, I don't know if it was so much us leading by example. I mean, we obviously tried to do that, but I think you just end up attracting people that are like-minded, and so they just come that way, helpful. But it's also reinforced by, the way we all act. So we as leaders now in the company, people see us working that way and acting that way, and that makes it much easier. Like we were talking about scaling, and 3, 5, 1,000 people. Does this work? Well, I think it works just fine, because as you bring up these next generations, they see how they're supposed to, when they're in your seat, how they're supposed to work, which is be a seller-doer. Mm-hmm. Be ready to jump in and help somebody, whoever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, we talk a lot about culture, and I think that's part of the culture is, is a team effort, and like helping people out when they've got things going on. Because people, I mean, surely they know, like that's either happened to them in the past, so they, sympathize or empathize with the situation. And, and I think we do that, not only just in the interview process, but like attracting, those types of people that want to help, and I think they want to be successful too. I think they want to contribute, I think they want to be a part of that success. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's definitely one of the biggest attractions to PGA for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at this point, with the numbers that we have and that many people that really do think and feel that way, it's like a snowball effect. Like it just makes it easier when you're interviewing someone to go, okay, they think the same way. Right. They're going to fit in just fine.
Right.
As opposed to someone that's kind of more out for themselves.
Right.
Which wouldn't work. And I think when we bring someone in that's worked somewhere else, where there's so many good people all over this industry. Engineers by nature are, they're all good people. And there's not bad people really, but people work differently.
Yeah.
And so you go to a lot of firms, there's more of a mix of, people that are super helpful, maybe think and work like PGA, and then some that don't. Mm-hmm. And you get to work with all sorts. So when people work at those other companies and then come here, like we've gotten that feedback numerous times of how helpful everyone is. And, when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, what's the alternative? I don't understand what the alternative is to not help.
Well,
but I guess so.
Yeah. The alternative is to have your, billability and your,
I guess,
your hit your numbers and all that stuff. Otherwise, there's consequences and things like that. And, like
Yeah.
that doesn't seem to be, super helpful to influence a helping
Yeah. I guess so.
mindset.
Yeah.
It's purely, this is me, you're isolated, an individual, and I got to do this, definitely not the thing we're trying to do here.
No,
Sure.
No. All right. So we talked, I like your term work-life sway. I just really put a name to, I think, how, I've always approached that. That term work-life balance obviously gaining more popularity recently. Always kind of bristle at it. And I don't even know what the original intent behind it was, but it sort of grew this definition of, this sort of 8 to 5 mentality. It's always 8 to 5. If you're having to work, late any day of the week, then, you're getting your work-life balance screwed up. And that doesn't work for this industry. It just doesn't. But at the same time, you don't want to be working 60 hours a week for weeks on end. And we don't want people to do that either. What I've always found is a healthy balance, because you can't always control the timelines, is okay. If it gets crazy and you're having to work crazy for several weeks, like, you need to sway into something easy, not easy, but more normal, lighter for a little while. And that's, you're running a large group, and that's part of your job, is to like, okay, well, man, he's really been killing it for a while, and I need to make sure I get him some help. Like, I couldn't really do anything for him there because it was kind of his project, and I was getting him as much help as I could, but I need to get him a little bit of a break, and, so-and-so can jump in because they've been kind of on this one job and it hasn't been too bad. Like, you manage all of those things best we can.
Yeah.
And of course we rely on feedback. Like, you can't always be on top of everything either. So you create this culture and environment where people feel totally comfortable coming in and going, I'm dying out here.
Yeah.
Can you help me? And everybody's threshold is different too. Some people, 50 hours a week isn't that big a deal.
Right.
So again, it's work-life sway.
Yeah.
50 hours for someone, they don't feel it. 50 hours for someone that's got little kids and some life situation, like 50 hours could be super inconvenient and detrimental and disruptive to their life. So it's important that we know what everyone has going on in their lives and try to accommodate that the best that we can. And you don't hold it against people either.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I feel like that's one of the biggest things maybe I picked up on. I went back to school, got my master's in engineering management, which, I thought was beneficial at the time, just because, engineers don't generally make the best managers, it's just because, hey, like, you're really technical, you're really smart.
Yeah, you're good at your job, so you'll be good at this too.
Right, yeah. But you're an introvert and you're not good. So I think managing to the individual is always, the most important thing. And I think, knowing that maybe they're not going to be, I think we all struggle with the communication part, right? Like, we're not the best. Like, that's not, so being a project manager, is like, hey, that's the hard part of engineering, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. But for some, it depends on your personality. Yeah. But I think making sure you approach people and making sure, like, hey, I've been noticing you've been, cranking on this project for a while. You doing all right? Because, my experience has been a lot of times those people will do that, and then they'll do it for a while, and then they'll just leave because they're tired of it.
Yes.
I think everybody's good until they're not.
Yes.
And they just go off that cliff. And I've seen that a lot. So definitely trying to avoid that. And you've talked about retention, how low the turnover is at PGA. But yeah, I think making sure that it's balanced, but also trying to get people other experience. Like, yeah, you may be the best person for this, but like, hey, here's an opportunity to learn. And so you can do it next time. You can do it more efficiently, or you can teach the next.
Yes, so that's actually a good example of that sort of more forward-thinking, long-term thinking. It's easy if you're just focused and worried about profit or money or whatever. Well, you just get somebody really good at this one thing and get them doing that, and that's the most efficient, profitable thing. But one, it's not the best for their career. And then what if you got a whole bunch of this other stuff to do? You can't just throw them on, because guess what? They've never done it.
Yeah.
So think long-term profitability or efficiency, or however you want to look at it, cross-training people and getting everybody pretty good at everything. What we do is not rocket science. So you don't have to do something for years on end to be really good at it. Like, if you're a good engineer or designer or whatever, like you'll get pretty good at it
Yeah.
fairly quick. At least the production type stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for intuition and judgment that does take years to build, but
Right.
it doesn't take 40 years either.
No.
You know?
Yeah, you're talking about just that future mindset. I mean, it's like, how many times have you been in a spot where, hey, we need this thing and it's got to be done tonight or by noon or whatever.
Yeah.
And
then recently,
Yeah,
recent
right.
experience.
And let's pretend it's somebody who's never done it before or has only done it one time.
Yeah.
And you're just not going to get done by noon.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So trying to make sure that in the moments when it's not due by noon, getting them the opportunity to do it,
Yes.
and then next time maybe, they can do it by noon or something like that. But yeah, because it is almost like a self-preservation thing too, where it's just kind of like, I just want to make sure that this, like I've had that happen. It sucks. Don't want that to happen ever again.
Yes.
So anyway.
Yeah. All right. What else do you want to talk about today?
I was going to say, I think one of the things that is important is making sure that you're not, even if you are a seller, that it doesn't feel like you're selling, right?
Yeah.
I think most, at least in the industry that we're in, you're not like just selling necessarily a product.
Mm-hmm.
But, anybody can do plans. Anybody can do a variation. Anybody can do this. Maybe not everybody, but you're selling trust. You're selling the quality part. You're selling yourself, like knowing that, like, hey, I'm going to be there for you to make sure this gets done. And so when you're a project manager and say, you're also have done it, you're the doer as well, partly. They can trust you to know that, hey, this is going to get done. You're not just going to hand it off to some person that I don't know,
Right.
and are they going to get it done? Like,
Yeah, the old bait and switch.
yeah. And if I was an owner or a client and somebody did that to me, I would feel very nervous and anxious a lot of the time. And we don't want that for
Right.
our clients. And,
Right.
we want to make them trust us and feel comfortable with us and continue to use us.
Yeah, I would definitely say as we kind of wrap up here, I'm glad we came back to a real positive aspect of the Seller-Doer is you go and sell the thing, and they know and can trust that you're gonna then come back and do the thing and do it well, and continue that relationship and get a project done.
Yeah,
which is what we love to do.
Yeah.
And you're very good at it.
It's very kind.
All right, so that'll be a wrap for this episode of PGA Breaking the Ice podcast. Trevor Hawkins, thanks for being here, talking Seller-Doer with me.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and we're gonna end the podcast the way we end our holiday parties, our interviews, whenever we can slip it in at the end. On the count of 3, we're gonna do it. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Go PGA. Wasn't bad.